Okay, thank you, everybody. We're back on, but unfortunately, the Channel 3 streaming is not going to be on tonight. So we will be continuing on the Facebook and Zoom and on the YouTube channel. Just thank you, everybody. We're back on, but unfortunately, it's my twin. We will be continuing on Facebook and Zoom and on the stand by, folks. We got another little technical difficulty here.
I saw the bear's been a robot the whole time.
Stand by, folks. We got another.
Oh, jeez.
It sounds like you're talking here.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Mr. Mayor, I can hear and see you.
Thank you, Pastor. We're having some feedback problems. We'll be on it in a few minutes.
Okay.
Mayor, I believe we fixed it. You can go ahead now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as I was saying, we are, Channel 3 will not be streaming us, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, but we still are on Zoom and Facebook, as well as the YouTube channel. Perris TV is for the YouTube. That's probably your best option. Okay, so we left off with our item 8, which is approval of minutes. We are now moving on to item 9, which is our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. And we will have public comment limited to 3 minutes. Monica, did you have any requests to speak on public comments?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any council have any questions or comments or something they want to pull?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull item 9C for separate vote.
9C? Anybody else? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of 9C. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rab. Please call a vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas,
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. Okay, item 9C. Councilwoman Nava.
Thank you, Mayor. For item 9C, I'd like to go ahead and consider a separate vote due to the fact that this is an agricultural diminishment that was on the agenda item on June 28th, 2020. I voted no then and wish to continue voting the same way now.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Please call a roll call vote.
To approve it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers.
Second.
And second by Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb,
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Nava,
No.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas,
Yes.
Rabb, Rogers, Corona, Vargas, yes. Nava, no.
Thank you. Item 10 is our public hearings. 10A is consideration to adopt the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order, placing CR&R residential refuge collection charges on property tax rolls instead of including the charges in the water bills. This will be given by our city attorney, Mr. Eric Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council.
As you know, the city has a franchise agreement with CR&R to collect and dispose of refuse. And that for a long period of time, they've had an agreement with Eastern Municipal Water District where the bills for trash services are included in the water bills. So each month, the water customers get their water bill, and there's a line item for trash services, both water and trash. So for Eastern and CR&R have decided they're going to stop that relationship, and so CR&R is going to take over billing customers directly. So one of the options was for them to bill customers and do it in 3-month time periods. Another option was for the city to enact an ordinance where all the refuse collection charges would be billed on the property tax roll. So the customers would not get monthly bills or bills every 3 months, but they would show up on the property tax rolls every year instead of doing direct billing. And so that's what is before you to consider. What we're talking about is not just delinquent charges that would show up on the tax roll, but the entire charge for your trash services would show up on the tax bill. This, if the council introduces this ordinance tonight and adopts it, and once it's effective, there will need to be a public hearing that would come up in probably, I'll defer to Mr. Reyna, it's probably going to be June or July. And then what would happen is that CR&R will provide a list of all of the charges, addresses, and whatnot, and then those would be placed on the tax roll. What's important here is this is only applies to residential customers and just for the regular trash service. So commercial and industrial will still be billed directly by CR&R. And if you're a residential customer and you want to get a temporary roll-off bin for, a major project or something, that'll be billed directly. And then as people come online and move into the houses being built in South Perris and elsewhere over the course of time, as those are new customers, they will be billed directly for 3-month periods until those properties are added to a tax roll at a future date. So each year there might be another hearing that wouldn't cover everyone in the city, but just like the number of new houses that come online. And that concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Thank you. Council, anybody have any questions or comments before I open up the hearing?
I do.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes, Mr. Dunn, at the public hearing, that would give the property owner a chance to protest if they have any concerns about it being put on their tax bill. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilmember Rogers, this ordinance basically says that the city will follow the procedures that are set out in the health and safety code and in the franchise agreement. But in that process, everyone will get a notice and they will be able to come here or participate on Zoom or however it is at that time and object.
But they will be noticed before this can take place and have the opportunity to participate in a public hearing, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Councilman Corona?
So for clarification, for the viewers at home that might be a little confused on this, will this raise their fees for CR&R in any way?
Thank you, Councilmember Corona. That's a good question. It has no effect on their rates or charges. It just depends on how they're paid. So right now, and there are some interesting aspects of this, because if you are putting it on the tax roll, the property owner will be paying that. And so they might have to work out their rental payments with their tenant so that they, pass on the charges. But there's no net increase in this, just based on the change.
Okay, and can you clarify, or maybe someone for CR&R, of why their payments are going to be done this way as opposed to the way it's been done?
I don't want to speak for CR&R, but their options were that they have to do direct billing now because Eastern's not going to do their billing anymore. So they are going to send out bills, but the way they bill is they do it in 3 months at a time. So instead of getting your 1 month bill for, I don't know what the dollar amount is, say $30, you'd get a bill for $90. And so instead of, putting that in big chunks onto the customers, it was their preference to request that the council adopt this ordinance so that it just goes on the county tax roll. And that they don't get paid, each month or 3 months. They have to wait until taxes are collected and then the money comes in.
Okay. And the city of Perris will definitely not be the only city that does this.
There are other cities that do this, that actually, a lot of cities will collect delinquent charges. There are fewer cities that collect all of the charges, but there are more than just Perris.
Okay. Thank you.
And just to reiterate that this is not a cause from CR&R. This is a cause from Eastern Municipal Water District. They're pulling out of the billing system.
I don't know the background of that, but that's my understanding.
Alex Brankovich is on. I have met with him and I'll let him answer that question. Alex is from CR&R. Mr. Brankovich, can you clarify that who's initiating this? You're on mute, Alex. Uh-oh. Drats. IT, is there anything we can do on our end to help them?
No, sir. Mr. Alex's mic is unmuted.
Try
Can you
again.
hear me now?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, I just switched to my phone.
And you might want to, okay, there you go.
There we go. I
Perfect.
apologize for that, Mr.
That's
Mayor.
okay.
Yes, this was at the request of EMWD back in, I think it was January, where they approached us and wanted to make this change. This was not a change that we were looking for.
Got it. Okay, anybody else have any questions before I open up hearing? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this matter?
Yes, sir. Elizabeth Ayala.
Good evening, Ms. Yali. You got 3 minutes.
I'm a homeowner in the city of Perris. I was jotting things down while the gentleman over here was talking, but the issue is that the reason I came is that I noticed that CR&R was on the agenda, hoping to get the city of Perris to do their collecting for them by adding their fees to our Perris homeowners' property tax. This has been denied so many times, as us homeowners don't want to see this being approved. Now, I had an opportunity to see the data, how CR&R gets their numbers of who's collecting, who's not collecting. But what they are not telling you is that CR&R is still charging homes that are empty or charging the homeowners for the wrong size of containers. Yes, there's a few residents that are being charged less, but overall CR&R still has the upper hand. I feel this is a monopoly. We can't pick our own trash company, but now CR&R is asking you to do their billing for them, and that's wrong. Our city is not a collection agency. What's next? The light bill, gas bill, cable will be added to our property taxes? Again, the city is not a collection agency. I know CR&R is custom of getting their billing added to residents' property taxes from other cities, but Perris residents have already voiced their opinion and that hasn't changed. Our answer is still no. Don't allow them to use our city as their collection agency. It's not enough for them that we can only go to their facilities for our trash services. Now they want you to add it to our property taxes. I'm opposed of this matter, and please vote no to the request. Once again, we don't need to add collection agency with the city of Paris's name. Now, a couple things they mentioned, direct billing, just like utility bills. Okay, if they're gonna do it every 3 months, other utility bills do that as well.
Ms. Ayala, you
Just-
gotta have to wrap it up, 10 seconds.
All I could say in this matter is to please say no. I've always come out when it comes to this matter for CRNR because they are billing houses that are empty still for trash. And that's not right for the homeowners of the city of Paris. Please, please consider that. I've known you guys for a long time. I've come to here. Please vote no for
Thank you.
this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
That is all.
IT, do we have anybody online?
No, sir.
Okay. This time, we're gonna close the public hearing. And if there's council has no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion on the first reading of the ordinance.
Do have a couple comments.
Okay, Councilman Corona?
So I think that there's, I was kind of expecting a presentation of the reasons why, maybe a breakdown of everything, but because like how I interpret this is that EMWD does not want to do the billing for CR&R. And then there was a few options. One option is that the city of Paris bills the residents directly, and we definitely don't want to be a billing agency, doing the work for them. Another option was to bill them every 3 months, but the concern that I had with that was that if we bill our residents every 3 months, then every 3 months they're gonna get a big bill, and I think some residents would have trouble doing that. And then another option was we just put on their taxes. And then so it kind of, with my mortgage payments, my taxes are included in there, and I just pay them throughout so it kind of gets separated. It kind of gets split up anyways. But I can see that how some residents are still maybe confused on what's going on here. I'm not opposed to maybe bring this back until we get a proper presentation or explanation, because all we're doing is just voting how to do it, and I do feel like it's the best way to do it, but I would like the residents get an explanation of what's going to happen, because anytime that there's a change, which we saw with the utility company, with the electric company, there's confusion all the time, and I would recommend that we bring this item back so that we could get a proper presentation from CRNR and from whoever else needs to be here, so we could really explain it for the residents.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, Mayor, if I may.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. So first of all, thank you to the public comment. I believe this is the first one I've heard of here in person. So thank you so much, Mrs. Ayala. And I appreciate it, and I'd love to see more of it as well. And with that being said, I do agree. The only attachment we have with this item is strictly the ordinance versus showing options and allowing residents to provide some input as to what options or which route they'd like to take. So right here, it's pretty straightforward. The city will intervene. So I still have questions. Do we need to add more city staff to take care of this, or what is that going to look like? So I know currently the city services water, and I believe we have about 4,000 residents. And even then, I feel like if CR&R is able to build some, for example, commercial industrial, my question is, why not include that for all of the residents? Why not take on the billing when it comes to all of that? So here in the city, like I mentioned, we service water, and then for those who don't have the city water system, we have EMWD who provides direct billing to these residents. So I still have questions, and I don't feel comfortable making a decision today based on the lack of information provided. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, in that case, I'll call for a motion.
So what do we?
I mean, you can.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this item for further consideration and greater input from CRNR.
Like in the presentation.
A presentation as well.
Is there a second?
Oh,
Second by Councilwoman Rogers.
so I want a second, but I did want to hear what Councilman Rapp wanted to say.
Did you have a comment?
Okay. Okay. That's
All
fine.
right, we have a first by Councilwoman Nava, second by Councilwoman Rogers. Call roll call vote, please. That means someone wants to talk?
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Councilmember Nava.
Yes.
Councilmember Corona.
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
Yes.
5-0, motion approved.
Okay, item 10B, consideration to adopt the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order to amend municipal code section 5.58.110 parentheses C and 5.58.124 parentheses C to allow cannabis cultivation and the distribution within the commercial zone. And this is going to be introduced by our interim director of development service, Ms. Candida Neal.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. The report on this item will be presented tonight by Planning Manager Kenneth Fung.
Very good, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Let me just give you some quick background. Let me fix the screen real quickly. Let me give you some background behind this project. In March of this year, Nick Ortega with the CI Wellness LLC filed a request to amend the municipal code to allow cannabis cultivation and distribution in the commercial zone of the north and south cannabis designated areas. The reason for this is currently cannabis cultivation and distributions are only allowed in the light industrial and general industrial zones. The reason for the ordinance amendment is because there's a lack of available property for cannabis use, particularly for cultivation. However, the applicant has identified a commercially zoned property within the northern end of the city with an existing legal non-conforming industrial building that they could occupy with approval of the ordinance amendment. In considering the applicant's request, staff conducted a little bit of research in terms of how other cities regulated cultivation and distribution. As you can see on this slide, staff discovered that of the 12 cities that we previously surveyed, and we surveyed them again, was that they do allow 7 out of the 12 do allow cultivation and distribution in the commercial zone. In essence, when they allow cultivation, they see cultivation and distribution as the same because when you cultivate, you need that other license for distribution to move your product around. And just for your note, regarding this information, 2 of the adjacent cities, the county of Riverside and the city of Moreno Valley, are competitors. They do allow those in the commercial zones. In addition, staff looked at the South Perris cannabis green area. In that zoning area, which is in the southern area of the city by Ellis, the river, and Watson Road, generally the location, there's no commercial zone, so that doesn't really apply in that area. Staff also looked at the northern end of the city, the cannabis designated area, which is in the north of Perry Street to the northern city limits, the Perris Valley Storm Drain Trail to the east, and then the I-250 freeway to the west. In those areas, there are 2 commercial areas. And so as you can see on this slide, staff look at that corridor along Harley Knox and Perris. There's the Marsh Plaza Shopping Center, which is currently under construction with a 7-Eleven. There is a Beyond Market that's in process, and there's a nursery, and there's 3 commercial properties to the south side. In this particular area, staff is not particularly concerned with the property along Harley Knox on the south side, 500 feet away from Perris Boulevard, just because it's surrounded by industrial to the north, west, and south. But in an attempt to kind of preserve the commercial corridor at this intersection, we wanted to leave that area outside the pretty much the 5 parcel at the intersection, outside of the cannabis availability. The second area where there's potential for cultivation is along Harley Knox and Oleana Avenue, which is right by the 215 freeway. There is 5 parcels there. Although they're zoned commercial, they're all industrial uses in this area. There is a 44,000 square foot metal building. Adjacent to those sites are modular storage, and along Oleana Avenue, there's a contractor storage yard. Staff is not concerned with allowing cultivation and distribution in this zone because prior to the PVC specific plan, this area was already zoned industrial. And the fact that the probability of these converting to commercial is unlikely due to the fact that it's fairly close to the airport runway, which would restrict the availability of commercial development in the future. And the fact that they're currently operating as industrial uses. In conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council adopt resolution next in order to approve the ordinance amendment 21-05050 to allow cannabis cultivation and distribution within the commercial zone of the south and north cannabis green area, except for commercial properties within 500 feet of Perris Boulevard. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Kenneth. Council, anybody have any questions or comments before I open up public comments? Okay, I'm gonna open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. And if no one has any comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve. A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rab, second by Councilman Corona. Call a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Rab,
Yeah, excuse me, yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
No.
Councilmember Nava,
Yes.
Councilmember Corona,
Yes.
Mayor Vargas.
I should have made my comment, but like I always do, being former law enforcement, I don't appreciate much of this cannabis industry, but the people of Perris did vote and approved all this matters. So being a people's mayor, I will have to stick with this and give a yay vote.
Rab, Nava, Corona, Vargas, yes. Rogers, no.
Thank you. 10C is a consideration to adopt first reading proposed ordinance next in order and resolution number next in order updating the local development mitigation fee, also known as the LDMF ordinance for funding the preservation of natural ecosystems in accordance with the Western Riverside County multiple species habitat conservation plan. This will be introduced by our interim director of development services, Candida Neal.
And good evening again. Our presentation on this item will be made by Planning Manager Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and Member of City Council. IT, if you can put up the second presentation. If not, I can navigate the laptop. Yes, good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just for information, the City of Perris is a member agency of the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority, known as the RCA, which is comprised of the County of Riverside and 18 cities in the Western Riverside County. The RCA was formed to acquire, administer, operate, and maintain habitat reserves and species covered by the Western Riverside County Multi-Species Habitat Conservation Plan, known as the MSHCP. The MSHCP was adopted in 2004 for the purpose of setting up a mechanism to collect fees for the preservation of conservation land and for from future development, and also to create a mechanism for projects to meet their SEQRA mitigation requirements without having to prepare individual SEQRA analysis for all projects in the region. In order to establish the fee, a nexus study was prepared in 2003. And as a result of that fee, the MXC fee was established. No update has been completed since 2003. And so the RCA, in their analysis of what their obligation to maintain conservation land and to acquire the necessary conservation, prepared an updated nexus study. This started in late 2019. They went through over a one-year process with multiple public meetings. As part of those hearing process, they conducted meetings in an attempt to reach out to the development community, recognizing that there would be an increase in fees. Through a one-year process, the RCA adopted the new nexus study in December of 2020, and they were planning to phase the new fee increase, with the 50% increase taking place July 1st, 2021, and the remaining of the increase occurring January 1st, 2022. The table you see here kind of shows those increase. So the increase for commercial and industrial pretty much doubles, pretty much from 7,500 to 16,000. For single family residential, which is pretty much considered 8 units or less per acre, that increase would be approximately 1.5 times. The increase for medium density residential, that doesn't change very much. And I think that's recognition there's a housing shortage in California. So they didn't necessarily want to increase that fee substantially. For density over 14 dwelling units per acre, that fee will actually go down. And again, that's in recognition of the housing crisis, and they're trying to figure ways to reduce those fee impact. To adopt this fee increase, the council will need to introduce the first reading of the ordinance next in order, which updates what we call the LMDF, which is the fee ordinance, to have a system to collect the fee. And the second action the council needs to take is adopt resolution next in order, which adopts the 2020 nexus study, the updated LDMF fee based on the findings in the resolution. And that concludes my presentation. And just quickly, just for your knowledge, Terry Maderi from the RCA is on Zoom in case there's any technical questions.
Okay, thank you. Council, before I open up the public hearing, anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, we're going to open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Thank you. We close public hearing. If there's no additional comments from council, I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rab, second by
Me?
Councilwoman Rogers. Call the roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Rabb? Yes. Councilmember Rogers?
Yes.
Councilmember Nava?
Yes.
Councilmember Corona?
Yes.
Mayor Vargas?
Yes,
5-0, motion approved.
thank you. Okay, item 11 is our business items. We have none. Item 12 is public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Elizabeth Ayala?
Thank you, Mayor and council members, once again. The city of Perris does not have any ordinances, currently has no ordinance to protect homeowners' property. Example, I'm having an issue with my back neighbor because they took down my fence I put up to protect my other fence. So I had 2 fences. There is no current ordinance. Nothing can be done but to take them to court. Nothing. Did you know that you don't need a fence? That there is no fence required in the city of Paris? That you can imagine the problems this has caused or can cause? Meanwhile, the homeowners are left to defend themselves. I'm asking if you all can come together to make an ordinance for our property so that homeowners like myself have protection from those who don't care about their property. We all elected you guys to represent us, to speak out for us, to have our best interest in heart. And I hope you will show that today by putting an ordinance together that will protect homeowners like myself against those who don't care about other people's property. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
That is all.
Thank you. IT, do we have anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. Item 13 is council comments. Councilman Corona?
Okay, we can just give me a couple seconds.
Hold on, let's see if I went out of order. Oh, you're up first, but
Okay, I do want to thank the speaker, Ms. Ayala. If we could have staff communicate with her and perhaps look in to see if we do have an ordinance which requires that every property needs to be fenced, or at least in residential properties. Be strange if there's not an ordinance like that. As a positivity rates continually get better, we're starting to see things start to open up. I know the gyms are starting to open up, and I think Disney's opening up, and just more things are opening up. And then our governor just announced that he intends to open up California by June 15th. Now, I do hope that the COVID virus agrees with that date, but I do want to at least encourage everybody to please continue to make those precautions. Continue to wear your mask in public, continue to social distance. We all want things to open up, but it's going to take a lot of us, because we've seen the numbers get better, and then they get worse, and then get better, they get worse. But hopefully, as people are getting the vaccines, things start to open up. The youth leagues are once again starting slowly to come back. So if you have a child that wants to play a sport again, please contact those leagues, because we are excited to have the kids come back to the parks as well. And I was very, very saddened to hear about the passing of Mr. David Rabb Sr. I'm sure many of them know him as our Mayor Pro Tem's father, but him in his own right was very involved in the city of Perris. He was here for 7 decades here in the city of Perris, being the youngest of a very large family. A few years ago, we did have the honor of honoring the Rabb family, and he came out there along with a lot of people that are related to the Rabb family that was very influential here in the city of Perris. I did meet him a handful of times, and every single time he was very honest. He told things exactly how they should be. He never tried to sugarcoat things, and I definitely always appreciated that for him. He definitely leaves a very lasting legacy in our community, having raised 2 wonderful sons who will continue to live up more than any expectations. So our prayers go out to the entire Rabb family. That's it for my communications. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to begin by thanking our public comment speaker today, Elizabeth Ayala, and thank you to Kenneth for following up on this request. I too would like to extend my deepest condolences to Mayor Pro Tem for the loss of your father, David Starrab Sr. I had the opportunity to witness your father when he was first row of you getting sworn in by your nephew, and your dad was beaming with joy. And I know that you and your brother will continue to do him proud and prolong the strong legacy that he left. So my thoughts are with you, as well as Councilwoman Rita Rogers, who's also grieving during these really tough times that both of you are navigating. I truly admire your strength and commend you both for continuing to serve the city with your best, even with all of your troubles that you have going on in your personal lives. And I'd also like to highlight that the COVID vaccines are becoming much more readily accessible. So if you still have not received your vaccine and want to do so, I encourage you to go ahead and follow the CDC for any updates, as well as call our city's public health hotline for further support. The number for that is 951-435-7206. And as I drive by City Hall time and time again throughout the day, I notice that there's long lines of people that are ready and willing to get vaccinated. So it's great to see that everyone is doing their part. And that concludes my comments for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes, I also would like to extend my condolences to David on the loss of his father, Mr. David Starr Rabb, who truly was a Perris legend. He made such a difference in this community. I first met him when he was a deacon at First Baptist Church, and his wife was his church secretary. And David was just a little youngster then, growing up in the church and wanting to be a preacher at that point. But I remember those days so well, and Mr. Rabb has been a part of Perris for as long as I can remember. And he always had integrity. He always would speak the truth. He was a little brutally frank sometimes, but but we came to love him. So I know your heart is broken. I know you will miss your dad, but you can always hold on to the memories. When we lose the ones we love, that's the only remedy that we have, is to think back on the good times and the precious times that we had with our loved ones. So I will continue to lift you and your family up in prayer, as well as the whole community who came to know and love your father. And as far as COVID-19, just because we are now in the orange tier, and I know we're suffering from COVID fatigue, please don't become relentless and stop wearing your masks or start getting too close to people, because we want to continue and keep the positivity rates down so we can continue opening up our other businesses. And that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I'd like to thank my colleagues for extending their sympathies regarding my dad's passing. My dad made 79. I will continually miss my father. He was a strong support system for my brother and I. And it's not only losing a father, it's he was the last of 11 children, who most of them grew up here in Perris over on 7th Street. And they were born between 1918 and my dad was born in 41. So we have a large family. Cousins born between the early 40s to me and my brother born in the 80s. Cousins once removed, or second cousins, third cousins. So please keep my family in your prayers. I'm glad that I was able to come back to Perris and live literally right around the corner from my father and help him out as he had issues with respiratory issues. It wasn't COVID-19 related, but I do believe that his passing was related to not receiving the proper care due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And just keep my family in your prayers, keep Perris in your prayers, keep Councilwoman Rogers in your prayers. It seems like we've had a rash of people passing away. Former Councilman Yarborough, Councilwoman Rogers' son, a grandson, a lot of other people passing away recently. So just keep the city of Perris in your prayers. Check up on your older relatives. Make sure they're doing well. Spend some time talking to them, getting to know their stories. So I want to thank everyone for your condolences. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I too offer my condolences to you and your family. There's most definitely a lot of history just with the Rad family being since 1918. That's a long time. So I'm sure he will be missed by your family, and our prayers and thoughts are with you. Street racing, I'm going to repeat it again. I just keep on repeating it to help the police department to collect data. If you're having issues with street racing in your neighborhoods or folks doing donuts, call the 951-776-1099, option 5. You may not get immediate response, but it is capturing data for the police so they can target the areas that they need to target. I had the opportunity to go to the first farmers market. They're going to be having it again this Saturday. So if anybody's interested, at the American Legion, I believe it starts at 8 or 9ish. This one's going out to Public Works or landscaping. It's been an issue in the city of Perris with our companies that we have, and it's a lot more, the vast majority has to do with this low bid process, but our hands are tied when it comes to low bid per government code and what have you. And low bid is not necessarily always the best option, and you get what you get for low bid. And our grass areas are looking dead. The irrigation systems don't seem to be working. Weeds growing out of curbs, blowing cut grass and leaves right back into the street as opposed to picking them up. And I'm speaking in particular, Bill and Dave's has been here a long time, and the Adame Landscaping. So I don't know what staff can be doing, but we need to start documenting these issues and addressing it, and see if there's a way what we can do to get out of this low bid process and get some better services. Our areas are really starting to look bad out there, and I'm starting to get a lot of complaints now from our community members, and living here with them as well. I agree that our areas are starting to look pretty bad out there. The chamber is launching or has already launched or updated their website. It's pretty good. I attended a meeting today with their ambassador program. So I'm going to be talking with IT folks and staff and see if we can merge a link from their website to our website that talks about specials going on in the restaurant business, retail, whatever type of work that's being done out there. They had job openings listing for their companies, for all our local businesses. We can link that to our website. That's really very user-friendly and pops out there so that our community can see that. Just a way of getting the message out there and helping our communities. I too, Ms. Ayala, thank you for coming in. I've been working with Ms. Ayala for the last several weeks now, and even probably longer. And believe it or not, the International Code Council, there is no rules behind having fencing around our properties. But that's something that's unheard of in California. I've never seen a property in California outside of going into a rural area that doesn't have fencing. That doesn't mean that we can't have fencing, or I should say, it doesn't mean we can't look into establishing an ordinance. As I watch shows, the home shows where they build homes real quick or renovate, and you look at these homes that are back east, your neighbor could be 30, 100 feet away, and there is no fencing anywhere around none of those homes out there. That's something that everybody's accustomed to out there in California. And let's just narrow it down. In Paris, that's just unheard of. Everybody has a fence line, whether it's wood or brick. So we are definitely going to look into this. I saw Ms. Candida already went up to Ms. Ayala, so we're hearing you, and we're going to see what we can do about it. And outside of that, I think that's all I have. We will move on to item 14, our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'd like to provide an update in regards to our testing and vaccination site here at the Bob Glass Gymnasium. The testing site still remains open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Appointments are not necessary, but recommended, but you can also do a walk-in. The vaccination site also remains open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that does require an appointment, and the vaccination site's available for all current eligible tiers. You can also visit our website at www.cityofparis.org for testing and vaccination registration information. Also, I'm proud to announce that the city's Community Services Public Health Division received an Inclusive Healthy Places grant from the National Recreation Park Association in the amount of $20,000 in order to assess the needs at Copper Creek Park. Also, I'd like to announce that the Code Enforcement Division is spearheading and organizing a spring cleanup. I know that particular activity was suspended last year, but it is resuming. And the first cleanup of the year will take place on May 15th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. There will be a trash drop-off area as prior over at the Southern California Railway Museum, as well as a shred-a-thon. A shredding truck will be available on campus for all residents to bring in their paperwork wishing to be shredded. For more information, you can visit the Code Enforcement website. Also, in honor of our high school seniors who have this past year had a very tough year due to the pandemic, the City of Perris is hosting a drive-in movie night for high school seniors for the class of 2021. This will take place on Friday, April 23rd at 6 p.m. at the Southern California Railway Museum. There will be food, games, raffle prizes, and the feature movie is Sonic the Hedgehog. You can visit the city's Civic Rec portal to register. Also, the city is also resuming the outdoor hikes. The first hike will take place on Saturday, May 1st at Cabian Park. It is a 3.5 mile round trip, and you can also register at the city's Civic Rec portal site.
Piece of cake.
And be there. And finally, I'm happy and proud to announce that the Perris Veterans Memorial site will begin construction soon. Our Mayor Vargas and Mayor Pro Tem Rabb were part of the Perris Veterans Memorial Ad Hoc Committee. And as a result, working with staff, the final design, and it's ready to begin construction. The Economic Development and Planning staff worked diligently on completing the final design for the memorial site. And due to the pandemic, IT staff had previously put together a groundbreaking video that I'm happy to announce and present to the council and the public tonight. Thank you.
Today is a special day as we break ground for our Veterans Memorial site in downtown Perris. Now we can proudly show our everlasting support for our fellow Americans who have paid the ultimate sacrifice while fighting for our safety and freedom. America has survived many battles fought bravely by our men and women in uniform. It is these men and women, both past and present, that we honor today with this memorial, and their memory will remain in our hearts forever.
Today we offer our love and thanks to the unbroken line of men and women who have given themselves in service to their country. America's armed forces have always been prepared to defend our freedom and freedom of others throughout the world. This memorial serves as a reminder to those who have answered the call of service and volunteered to protect freedom and democracy around the world.
There are more than 18 million veterans living in the United States of America, and each and every one of them are worthy of our gratitude. A grateful City of Perris opens her heart today in gratitude for their sacrifice, for their courage, and for their noble service. This memorial serves to remind us of this today, but also for the future generations to come.
When these heroes took their oath, they volunteered knowing they would be placed in harm's way. Many of them paid the ultimate sacrifice by giving their lives for country, and many more were wounded, physically or mentally. All of our veterans have endured more than we could ever repay, and we owe it to them to continue their memory and tell their stories. We remember their commitment to duty, their heroism, and their bravery. To those who have served and paid the ultimate sacrifice, to you, we say thank you.
May we never forget the legacy of those who protect our stars and stripes and how the dream of these United States in their hearts. They did not serve because of what America is, but rather for what America represents, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The memorial serves to remind us all that we are the home of the free because of the brave.
Thank you, Mayor. That is all I have for tonight.
That was a really good video, and I don't think we give prompts enough, but I get a lot of comments from public and from other entities, other cities, that our IT department really does an outstanding job on all their work that they do on our websites, and this video displays that. And it's a teardropper to have a memorial site finally in our city, considering how many veterans are buried in our own cemetery here in Perris, over 800, going back to the Civil War. So this is something I brought up the first meeting that I sat on when I was elected as mayor, that we need a memorial site. So it took us 6 years, Dave, and we're here now. And Dave is a veteran himself. So thanks, Zaf, for all that hard work that we did. And it's really going to be a beautiful, beautiful site. So looking forward to seeing that for the groundbreaking. Okay. I just want real quick before I close. I didn't mention anything about the COVID. Everybody else pretty much did. So the only thing I want to add on there is to just remind folks to please continue testing. Just because we get the COVID shot doesn't mean we're superheroes or super strength here, that we don't need to test anymore. It's still important that we go out there and test. There's still 4 or 5 unknown strands that this vaccine is not covering. So, and in particular with this Easter Sunday or Easter holiday, unknown amount of families may have left California, went back east, come back. So this is how it gets transmitted with, mixing households. So please continue to get your tests so we have some really good, accurate data and for our community. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to item 15 is our adjournment. This evening, we will be adjourning in memory of David Starr Rabb Sr., the father of Mayor Pro Tem David Starr Rabb Jr., who unfortunately passed away on April 6, 2021. Good night, everyone. Please stay safe, continue wearing your mask, and continue social distancing. Thank you.